Hello there guys, welcome back to Younes Talks Football, welcome back to a brand new video. I hope all of you are doing well today as we get ourselves geared up and ready for Chelsea versus Aston Villa. This is going to be a bit of a cracker, to be honest, and it's not an easy game, but I think we're playing Aston Villa at the best time. I'd like to say that anyway, but you never know. Chances are Aston Villa will probably come to the bridge and win 1-0 now, but they're not in great form. And we're in actually somewhat of a decent form as it stands right now. They're only 3 points behind us in the Premier League table right now. As it stands, Chelsea are currently 5th. That is at the moment where Arsenal are beating West Ham 1-0, right? Because that game is going on right now at the time of this recording. So when you're bearing that in mind, Arsenal, Brighton and Man City are all ahead of Chelsea. But Chelsea, you know what? The way that it is right now, Man City still need to play. But they play Liverpool. Chelsea can go second. Right? Chelsea can go second. If we beat Aston Villa tomorrow, we can go second. If Liverpool beat City, which right now, look, we're not in the title race as far as I'm concerned. We might be mathematically, I know that, but in terms of actually going the distance, I don't think we will. And that's not really the aim. If it comes, I'm great, I'm happy. But if we were to actually end up ahead of Man City and Arsenal and Brighton are somehow in the mix there, and so are Nottingham Forest, it's ridiculous. But if we end up second after 13 games played in the season, basically a third of the season done, I'm happy. Right now, I'm happy. So, bearing that in mind, Aston Villa sitting in 9th, but like I said, they're 3 points behind us. So anything can happen still. It's still very volatile, but the more points we get, the better. This is a very, very good situation that Chelsea are in at the moment. But like I said, Aston Villa haven't been in great form. They started the season fantastic, right? Brilliant. Winning, constant wins, few draws, but constant wins. I mean, the amount of greens that they were getting at one point, basically throughout September, end of August, September, as you can see on here. Look at the greens. It's ridiculous, right? I've got all the info here. And then, and there's more. I mean, I scroll and there's more. There's just more green. But then a red hit at the end of October. And from that point, it's been loss, draw, and draw. They haven't won, I think, in 6 games. More. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. They won 8 games ago. Their last win. That came in mid-October. So, this is where we got to be careful. Now, albeit they did draw 0-0 against Juventus, and they could have won that game, to be fair, Aston Villa. So when you're bearing that in mind, we are not playing a poor team. It's Aston Villa, Unai Emery, and they do have players that are capable of taking advantage of our leaky defence. Let's be honest here, right? But at the same time, their defence hasn't been as tight as it should be, or had it, or how it was at the start of the season, and our attack is looking somewhat decent. So, putting that into context, Chelsea, on the other hand, you know what's mad? I actually looked. We've only lost 4 games out of 20 that we have played this season. 20 games, all competitions, we've lost 4. One of them to Servette. I don't know how that happened, but you get the gist. The rest have all been wins and draws. And in fact, our last 5 games, we've won 3 and drawn 2. We've not lost. Now, that is... I have to take things into consideration here and put some context on things. That is involving Conference League, where we beat Heidenheim and we beat Noah. But it is what it is, right? It is what it is. We're going into this game in good form. So, how do we set up? What's going to happen? Who's out? Who's not? Well, Reece James is out, and he's out until January, it's looking like. Now, I've not really spoken about that. When Matt Law, a couple of days ago, on the day that I couldn't upload, gave us the update, letting us know that he can't be back until basically the new year. That's it. It's done. It's like I said, and not anything against Reece. And apparently it's a new injury. It's not even like the part of the hamstring that he's injured before. It's a new area of a hamstring. You hit your hamstrings, his hamstrings must be flipping cheese strings at this point. Like, honestly. And I feel for him, because that's not something that's in his control. But he's not going to hit the high level again. He's just not. I'd be shocked, and I would be damned. Right? If he were to somehow make a recovery and come back and stay consistent and get back to the level that he was at, I will say there's been a medical miracle, and I'll put my hands up and say I was so wrong. But I don't think that's going to happen. So, apart from him, everyone's available, it seems. He's the only one on the rehabilitation list. So putting that into context and putting that into mind. When we look at Aston Villa, I'll come to the Chelsea team in a bit. When we come to Aston Villa and what we can expect, their last game against Juventus, and that's a top Champions League game, there are players there that you look at and you think, similar to how they've been in the last couple of seasons, defence, Matty Cash, Luka Dean, Pau Torres, right? You're thinking, that's decent. The midfield, Telemans, going forward, well, McGinn in that midfield. I've always liked McGinn. I always think he's a good midfielder, very, very good midfielder, who can shift over to the sides. Leon Bailey, up front, Ollie Watkins, off the bench, John Duran. He's not scored in, I think, 6 or 7 games now, John Duran. All of a sudden, he just stopped scoring, right? Well, he better not rock up to the bridge tomorrow and put one in the net. That's all I'm going to say. He better not. And it's back to the same story. With Chelsea, all I worry about is our defence. And when I say defence, I don't just mean the back line. I mean the team. Defensively, that's all I worry about. Our midfield, bypassing the defence, last line of defence, the goalkeeper, Sanchez. Those 3 things combined worry me about the team defensively. But I do think that we've got goals in us as well. And going forward, we're actually looking somewhat decent. And there is the whole element of how we're going to shape up, who's going to play, how we're going to line up. Because that does help the team when we're looking in terms of our attack, including João Felix and adding that creativity. And how is that going to work? We've seen him now implemented, and now it's a question of selection and who is actually going to play in what role. So, bearing that in mind, I can't show you the 11 on screen like I normally would, and I will be from the next game onwards because I'll be back at home. But, in terms of the goalkeeper, for me, if it were up to me, Jorgensen gets a chance tomorrow. Simple. He gets a chance. And we'll see how he is on the ball as well. Because clearly he's a good shot stopper. Much like we know Sanchez can be. I've got nothing against Sanchez in that regard. But I want no mistakes coming from the goalkeeper. That's all I want. That's all I want. Are we going to get that? Jorgensen I'll give the opportunity to. Left back Cucurella, without question. Without question, one of the most consistent players in the team right now. One of the easiest names to put on the team sheet. Cucurella. No questions asked. On the right, Malo Gusto. But I would not ask Malo Gusto to invert. Stop trying to invert Malo Gusto because he finds himself in weak areas and he makes some silly errors there. No. Standard traditional right back settings for Malo Gusto. You defend, you bomb forward, you come back. You get on the overlap, you pump some crosses into the box, you come back and you get into your position. That's all I ask. Cucurella can do the inversion and coming into midfield and assisting whoever's going to be there. And this is where we get to the centre-backs. Levi Colwell. And I think it's got to be Fofana, hasn't it? But Fofana makes me nervous. I don't know about you. Is Fofana making you nervous? We know he can be a top defender, but there's moments where I'm like, oh my God, Fofana. Levi Colwell doesn't give me that energy. He did at the start. Whereas now I'm a little bit like, no, I feel a bit more assured with Levi Colwell. Fofana, sometimes I sense there's a mistake coming from him. He's got to tighten himself up. If not, I wouldn't mind seeing Levi Colwell and Tosin together. But even Tosin's a little bit hit and miss at the moment. We'll see. So for me, that's the defence. Midfield's tough. Because Lavia, I feel like, gives us some of that defensive cover. Enzo and Caicedo, I feel like, can give us more threat going forward. But I feel like we can leave ourselves exposed defensively too. And there's a bit of a red carpet there for strikers like Ollie Watkins. I can't take that risk. So, Enzo sometimes, when he wants to, this is the thing with Enzo I don't understand. Enzo, some games he looks like flipping prime Pirlo. Right? And there's some games where I'm like, oh my God, you're no use. You're no use whatsoever. Okay. I would go Lavia Caicedo. You know what I would do? Lavia Caicedo, Felix just ahead of him, Palmer on that right-hand side, interchanging in between themselves. Sancho or Pedro Neto. Crap. Pedro Neto on that left-hand side. And Nicholas Jackson up front. Or we go all guns blazing and we put Lavia as a sole DM. And we put Felix and Palmer ahead of him. And then we put Neto on the right, Sancho on the left, and Jackson up top. That would be some ultra attacking, no balance nonsense. And I don't think we'd be able to handle it. I think our defense will be under way too much pressure if we decide to pull something off like that. But I think we can get goals as well. That's a sort of setup that will get you a 5-4 win. Do you know what I mean? So, let me know your thoughts. Who would you play? I'd love to know what you would do in that midfield, that engine room. Right? What would you do? Who would you select? Let me know. I'd love to hear. And if you are picking Felix, I'm guessing that would mean Palmer would have to drift off to the right-hand side, which I'm not against. I'd do it. But then it would mean that one of Sancho or Pedro Neto is not starting. Do you see where there is a selection dilemma now? So, let me know your thoughts. And obviously, Jackson, like I said, up top. Jackson, look, he scored when I asked him to in that last game. I think this is gonna be a regular feature. Each game, I'm gonna give you like a scale of what I expect Jackson to do. Tomorrow, I'm not putting it on Jackson that you must. I did it against Leicester, and he did. He scored, right? That was a must for Jackson, and he scored. For tomorrow, I am going to say it's not a must, but oh boy, if you do, it would help so much, because Jackson now needs to start scoring in the big games when it means a lot. Game against Aston Villa, you're the guy that comes in clutch to get the goal that can win the game. Like that. I don't want to put the comparisons on, but Drogba done that on a weekly, right? Jackson, I think it would be nice for him to start stepping into that role where the team needs a goal. I'm here. So I'm not putting it on him tomorrow like I did against Leicester. You must score. No, I did that and he delivered. Tomorrow is it would be very, very, very nice if you did score tomorrow. That's what I'm going to say. So on the scoreometer for Nicholas Jackson, tomorrow is basically a 7 out of 10. Leicester was a 9. Like, you must. Tomorrow, I'm going to put him as a 7, where it's not the end of the world if you don't. But tomorrow's a big game. It's Aston Villa. So if you get one, oh boy, it will help. So that's it. Let me know your thoughts down below. Subscribe if you haven't done so already. Review will be posted after the game, but like I said, and it will be posted because I do have internet and everything's normal and everything's cool, but it will be a good hour after the full-time whistle, after the full-time whistle, where I will be able to upload and the video will go live because of upload speed. Simple as that. I don't have a choice in the matter. So make sure you're here, make sure you're ready, and I will see all of you an hour or so after full-time tomorrow to hear the review. Thank you all so much. Look after yourselves. Enjoy the game. Before I go, prediction. Score prediction. Chelsea. Okay, I'm going to be ballsy here. Chelsea 3, Aston Villa 2. Because I think we're leaking. How do we not? But I think we're scoring. So I'm going to go Chelsea 3, Aston Villa 2. At the bridge, we get a win. Thank you very much. So, see all of you tomorrow. Let me know your predictions in the comment section below. And I'll catch you after the game. Enjoy it, people. Look after yourself. See you then. Take care. And peace.